Why people drink alcohol. What's up, my friend? My name's David and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you like personal development and spiritual development videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button because I'm releasing new videos every Monday. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about why people drink alcohol and the reasons why I quit. So let's get right into it. The first reason is past experiences. And what I mean by that is people may drink alcohol, have a positive experience, and then want to relive that experience. Now, sometimes, and this happens quite often, I'm sure, people may have a negative experience with alcohol, and sometimes that can mean that they won't drink often or they won't drink again. But very often, and I know that I've experienced this, is you might say that you won't drink again, or I won't drink that kind of alcohol again, but then maybe a few months down the line, the exact same thing happens. You wind up having a few too many drinks and you get drunk again, and look, maybe you have a positive experience, maybe you end up having another negative one, but in my opinion, it's a negative experience with alcohol, unless this is happening all the time, is not much of a deterrent. The second reason is stress. A lot of people think that alcohol is a stress reliever, and it does relax you, but it also is a depressant, and too much alcohol will cause you to be depressed. Now, when I was working as an accountant, I often found myself drinking almost as soon as I got home on a Friday afternoon, and then all throughout the night. And then on Saturday, I'd be hungover, and then I'd just wait for the next party and do the same thing over again. And alcohol does relieve stress, perhaps temporarily. I think temporarily is the operative word there. The third thing is that alcohol is very socially accepted. It's something that a lot of people do, and most people don't even think twice about. It's very much a thing that we celebrate with, whether it be a party or a wedding or a good result in life or in business, perhaps, anything for any reason. But it's also something that we commiserate with as well, which I find quite interesting. The fourth thing is environment. If we're always constantly around people that are drinking, or we're in that environment where alcohol is readily available, then it's no surprise that we would be influenced by that environment. Now, because environment is so powerful. When I was living with some housemates at one point, we had this new housemate who moved in, and he was an every night drinker. And one of my other housemates wound up drinking every night, and he knew he was doing it, but he didn't realize why. And he was just one night he said to me, "I'm drinking every night." And I was like, and I wasn't drinking at this point, or very, very rarely. And I could see exactly what was happening. But when we're not aware of how powerful an environment can be, we can really get influenced by it and not even know it. Also, if you're at a party perhaps where alcohol is readily available, you are going to drink. I mean, that's no surprise. But if you're ever at a party where there's a no alcohol policy, then everybody and even if they are drinkers, everybody will conform to that rule. The fifth reason is accessibility. Alcohol is extremely accessible. A lot of families drink it, and it is very, like I previously mentioned, socially acceptable. So in some countries, the law is 18, some countries it's 21. In other countries, it may be different. But I know in Australia, it's 18. And all you have to do is really go to the shop. It's not really difficult to get, unlike some illicit drugs, depending on who you are and depending on who you know. The sixth thing is that if you're young, it could be an act of rebellion. Now, I know when I was drinking at a younger age, there is a thrill. There's a certain thrill associated with underage drinking. And, maybe hopefully your parents won't find out, or even if they do, maybe you don't care so much. But definitely as a teenager, there are rules and you kind of want to bend them. The seventh factor is peer pressure. Now, especially as a younger person, I can see where this might be an issue when you haven't really developed a strong will yet. And I know in my experience, there are many weekends where I didn't really necessarily want to drink all that much. But if I was around people that were drinking a lot, I would find myself drinking a lot because of the environment thing, but also because maybe that there was a small chance that if I didn't drink, then they may think less of me. Now, that may or may not be the case, and it probably wouldn't have been, but you never know. And sometimes it's just easier to drink or just to do the thing that you perhaps don't want to do in order to perhaps please others. And that's a whole another issue altogether, being a people pleaser, which I'm not going to get into in this video. You may feel isolated at times if you're one person out of all your friends that aren't drinking. The eighth reason is for fun. Alcohol can be a lot of fun. I know I had a lot of great times partying and drinking when I was younger, but as you'll soon see in the next factor, what starts out as fun can often end up as more of a crutch and more of a necessity and more of an escape, which is actually number 9, which is escape. I know my own experience. I was using alcohol as an escape. I was wanting to escape my 9-to-5 boring corporate job that I had. And I also just wasn't very happy with myself. I had very low confidence, low self-esteem. And although I didn't know it at the time, and I may have not wanted to have admitted it to myself, but I was using alcohol as a coping mechanism. And a lot of people, I believe, are doing that, whether they choose to recognize it or admit it or not. So now the reasons why I quit. When I was 30, I remember wanting to cut back. I had realized that what would happen week to week for me would be working my job, and then I'd be studying, and then working and studying, and then Friday would come around and I'd get really drunk Friday and Saturday night, and then I would not drink at all for the whole week. Maybe I'd have 1 or 2 beers or something. I wouldn't drink mostly for the whole week, and then Friday and Saturday would come around and I'd do the same thing. Now, that wasn't anything new. That had been happening for the last 13 to 14 years. What I noticed was my face was like it had this red tinge, and it would disappear by the end of the week, or mostly disappear. Then I'd just drink again and it would return Sunday morning. I also noticed that in old photos that I saw of myself around that time, that my face was really puffy and bloated. And that's what happens when you drink a lot. Your face, although you may not notice it at the time, but when you look back, you can tell. I'm a fit guy, but I looked overweight. My face was just really puffy. I remember one night, this was before I moved to London, about a month before. I was at a house party and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I didn't really like what I saw, and that was my face had just all these red lines on it. And at that point I kind of realized that maybe I should really consider cutting back. And that was the plan. I'd wanted to cut back. I moved to London and maybe I cut back a little bit, but London has a really big drinking culture too. And I was also a new city, so there were a lot of cool parties to go to and lots of people to meet. And in a social situation, alcohol is very prominent. So cutting back didn't really go as planned. I remember actually, just before I left London, I woke up one morning with this huge burst of energy, this huge confidence, clarity, certainty about me, and drive. And I just knew that I would never have to drink alcohol to excess again if I didn't want to. I felt like I knew myself on a much deeper level than I ever had. I would later go on to find out that I didn't actually know myself as well as I thought I did, but that's another story altogether. I'll link my spiritual awakening video down below. You can check that out. That kind of outlines it a little bit. So the very surface level reason for quitting was because I didn't like the way I looked. My face was going all red and puffy and stuff. But on a much deeper level, I look back at what I had achieved throughout my 20s, because I was drinking every weekend, almost without fail, except for exam times. And what I had achieved was not really what I had wanted to achieve by the time I hit 30, or by this point I was like 32. I said to myself, I will not live my 30s the same way as I did my 20s, because I had, at this point, things that I wanted to do in life. And to me, alcohol was really impeding those things, because you spend a lot of time during the day/night drinking, and then the whole of the next day, most likely you're hungover. There were many days where I just didn't do anything. I couldn't even eat. I couldn't even drink water, because every time I did, I would throw it up. And then after I couldn't drink any more water, after I stopped throwing up the water, I would start throwing up stomach bile. And then after that, I believe it was stomach lining, because it was all red. I don't know, it was disgusting. But this would happen often, and it's not very fun. Obviously, another reason for quitting is the health benefits. I mean, alcohol is a carcinogen at the end of the day, and a lot of people can get mouth cancers. So it's not only that, it's very dangerous. I mean, a lot of alcohol-related deaths each year in every country. It has a very large cost to society in many ways. And I just feel better. Like, I don't have to wake up feeling like shit anymore. I know that when I go to sleep, I'm going to wake up and going to feel just as good as I did the night before, rather than going to bed feeling amazing and then waking up feeling terrible. Another reason why, or another benefit, should I say, it's not the reason why I quit, but one huge benefit is the money, the financial aspect of it. When I was drinking a lot, I would go out, and sometimes I would drink before I went out, sometimes I wouldn't. But on the nights that I didn't drink so much before I went out, because drinks aren't cheap, they were $10 to $15 a beer or a pint, and it was very easy to spend a lot of money very quickly. So just conservatively, if I was spending $250 a weekend, which is very easy to do, sometimes it would be like $150 a night with a taxi fare and food and everything, maybe even more. Conservatively, that was $250 a week times 4, that's $1,000 a month, which is $12K a year. And that's probably the bare minimum. So you add that up and you times that by the number of years, it becomes a very, very expensive pastime. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have fun anymore. I mean, I just don't really see alcohol as being a fun thing for me anymore. I have fun in other ways that don't necessarily involve alcohol, obviously, but are way better for me, health-wise and emotionally and mentally. I also really feel that at this point in my life, I'm 36, and I really feel that all the partying is out of my system. I gave it a pretty good nudge from 17 to 30, 32 perhaps, and that's a good amount of time. So if you've watched this far, you might be wondering what all this means for you, and that's not really something that I can answer. It really is up to you. Now, if you're a young person, by all means, go out and have fun. Have a few drinks here and there. I would advise you perhaps not to drink to excess as often as I did. If you've got a dream that you're chasing, you would definitely want to be cautious of the amount that you're drinking, because alcohol will kill your dreams. There's no doubt about that, especially if you're doing this multiple times per week. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. But if you like personal development and spiritual development videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button for new videos every Monday. Follow me on Instagram at David Cowan Music for music updates and motivational insights. My name's David. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Peace.